I'm Emily, a super sensitive human, and today I'm going to talk to you about what it's like to have chronic fatigue. Because I think a lot of people are starting to watch my channel and they don't understand my life and what I'm doing with it and why I don't appear to have a job. And so I'm just going to explain a little bit about what it's like to have chronic fatigue. I've had chronic fatigue for 17 years now, since I was age 18. I started when I went to college freshman. I went to the University of Vermont and was pretty excited at first, super excited to get all these opportunities to participate in activities that I'd never gotten to do growing up in a small town. I like to take photography and go whale watching and go to learn about different political parties and all these different things. And but I kind of got burned out pretty fast, and I don't know if that's from overdoing it or just other reasons, but my health started to go downhill. There were a lot of other factors that may have played a part, like I didn't really get along with my roommate, so I didn't really have a safe place to relax between these different activities. I probably did the activities to get out of that situation. I was taking birth control pills, which are known to mess up your hormones and mess up your body. I was working in a photo lab, so I may have been exposed to toxic chemicals and smells. There was just a lot of factors. I was eating a vegetarian diet and you know, a pretty poor quality diet of dorm food and junk food. So I probably didn't do anything too different than any normal kid would do in college. I probably did less to my body in terms of, well, I definitely did less to my body in terms of partying, because I was basically straight edge at the time. Didn't really pull all-nighters. Wasn't super stressed about coursework. It was more difficult than high school, obviously, but University of Vermont is not a demanding college. So anyway, things started to go downhill. I started to get stressed out all the time, never be able to be relaxed. And initially when this would happen, I'd be working on the computers and writing my papers, and I'd start to feel really stressed out and come back and lay down on my bed and breathe out all the pain and tension. And toward the end of the first semester, toward the end of the first semester, I probably wasn't doing too good managing stress no matter what I did. I think I failed stress reduction class the second semester, or maybe that was my second year. But I failed stress reduction class because I was so sick and stressed that I couldn't go to stress reduction class. But basically I just stopped being able to feel happy, started to feel worried about everything, and started to be tired and in pain all the time. And then that kind of, toward the end of my first semester, I studied really hard for my finals and thought, whatever, I'll have all summer to relax, who cares about this pain I'm feeling. And that was a really bad decision, because it never went away after that. I've never ever been able to just lay down and breathe out the pain and relax since then. So that's when it started, and right away I set to doing stuff to try and remedy it. I went home for the summer back to my parents' house, and didn't work until August. So I spent June and July trying to remedy my chronic fatigue with yoga and herbs and different practices that I read about on the internet to try and relieve stress, exercise, and went to the doctor and got my spine x-rayed and stuff to make sure there was nothing wrong with me that way, and none of that helped. So sorry about the lighting, I can see that it's going brighter and dimmer because the sun's setting. So I've spent all those 17 years since that first summer trying to heal my chronic fatigue by different conventional and alternative means, psychological, spiritual, physical, and still have it. My biggest symptoms, everybody would like to know what symptoms are, what chronic fatigue even means. To me, it doesn't mean necessarily what the textbooks say. I don't have a sore throat, and I actually don't get severe post-exertional malaise. Like, if I go for a run, I'm not in bed for 2 days, which is what happens to some people. But so I use the term kind of loosely, but my big symptoms are obviously fatigue and pain, anxiety, depression. I'd say those are the big four, and then the kind of like additional major symptoms would be like digestive problems and food allergies, immune problems, having trouble getting rid of things, and feeling really sickly sometimes. Definitely have female hormone imbalances, PMS, acne, that kind of thing, and you know, I don't know, lots of other things that I can't think of right now. But as far as what it feels like to have chronic fatigue on a daily basis for 17 years, I mean, it sucks. My symptoms are pretty standard, like every day they're the same ones, more or less. My life's pretty much the same. It's not really big ups and downs. As far as the fatigue, I probably feel more fatigue than a normal person all of the time, but I'm best in the morning, and I have a crash around noon. So like, say I wake up at 6, 7, I'm good till around noon, and then I start crashing. That's like your classic adrenal fatigue pattern. So you could say I have adrenal fatigue, you could, whatever you want to say. But I basically got 5 good hours in me, 5 or 6 good hours to do stuff in the morning, and that's kind of like the time that I have to do anything that's really like anything. That's the best time for everything. It's the best time for exercising, the best time for vlogging, the best time for writing, the best time for anything that requires any kind of willpower or is annoying to do, like call a customer service. So that sucks, because when you wake up and you know you only have 5 hours to get done everything that you want to do, it's like very overwhelming, and sometimes you can't decide which thing to do. And some days I don't hardly get anything productive done at all, because I'll wake up and maybe I'll journal a little bit and meditate and eat breakfast and walk the dog and eat lunch and do a couple things online, and by the time that's done, that's 5 hours, and that's like all I did that day. So some days I do basically nothing, although, you know, I do the journaling and meditation and stuff to try and help myself be better the next day and the next day and the next day. And the exercise, of course. The exercise is a important thing for me. I try to walk right now 3 miles a day, or about an hour a day. I'll listen to a podcast that's about an hour long, and that's usually a good amount for me. And that keeps me from getting too stiff and being in too much pain, and keeps the dog happy. So, and I can't really do harder exercises than walking very much, because that will definitely, I can feel the wear of more difficult exercise, and it just makes my adrenals worse. It puts out more cortisol, makes me more shaky, and makes a bigger crash. So as far as the pain, my pain is not fibromyalgia or joint pain. It's just like tension, like all up in my upper back and chest area. It's just tense all the time. You can probably see me in my videos. My shoulders are not very relaxed. They're often up like this. My collarbones are like super V-shaped instead of nice and straight across. And there's really nothing that like helps with that, is like massage or stretching. It feels good, and I'm sure that stretching helps some if you do it consistently every day, but basically I just can't get rid of this tension no matter what I do. It never ever goes away. It's sort of like being stuck in like the old-fashioned stocks where you have your head and your hands in them, and it just feels like I'm just stuck all the time, and that it's super annoying. And I'll get pains in other areas of my body. I have a lot of pain in my right hip, is all messed up and tweaked, and that goes up the right side of my back. But generally speaking, it's mid, upper back, shoulders, neck, heart area. And I feel all the time. I've never not had it. In 17 years, I've never been free from pain for 1 minute. Painkillers, you can still feel the tension. Muscle relaxers, you can still feel the tension. So, constant pain. It's not super bad though. I've like zoned out of it a lot of times when I'm doing stuff, but I crack all the time, like this, you know, crack, 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 crack. My sternum cracks too all the time. So I'm cracking like all day long. My upper body where that tension is cracks hundreds of times a day probably, just from me trying to sit up straighter and stuff. And you know, it just wants to, no matter what I do, it wants to collapse and curve over into that depressive, beaten down dog person posture. And I'm constantly trying to undo that because I'm aware of what a good posture is and how postures can change the way you feel, supposedly. So, pain, it sucks. I like massage a lot. I wish I could get one like twice a day, every day, but I don't know that it would help the root core cause of the problem. And I'm constantly changing positions. Everything's uncomfortable for me because of my pain. Like, driving's uncomfortable, writing's uncomfortable, using the computer is uncomfortable. So I'm constantly shifting and lying back and leaning forward and lounging, lying, sitting. That's kind of my day. Walking, standing. Depression, pretty much have like dysthymic depression, just flat affect. If you can't tell from my voice, it's often flat. I don't feel, it's sort of like the pain. I have it every minute of the day. I can't really remember a time in the last 17 years when I felt happy, like really happy. Like, things make me happy if I have, you know, if I fall in love or get some money. I can feel the happiness that brings, but it's like, I don't know how to describe it. It's not like, it's like layered on top of the unhappiness or something, because it's like I could be, you know, lying in bed with my new lover and feel like really happy on one level and really frustrated and unhappy, and like, this is not enough, this sucks, this totally blows, I hate my life on another level. So that feeling is always there, even when I guess something is mildly pleasurable. But I do remember kind of like what it was like to be happy. I think I did have one instance in the last 17 years when I was happy. It was totally random, but I went to the dentist. I thought I was gonna have cavities because I hadn't been to the dentist in like 5 years, and I didn't have any, and I I was so relieved for some reason. I was just so very relieved that I was just like bouncing down the street back to my car, and that lasted about 2 minutes before it went away, faded. I was on to worrying about the next thing or something. So that was the last time I was happy, and I was about 22 then, so it's been a while. I'm 35 now. And the anxiety, I mean, that's pretty, what can I say about that? I have more anxiety in the morning when my energy is higher, like I was describing. A lot of that time I'm feeling very shaky and very anxious, and then it can fade into depression for the rest of the day, depending on what I'm doing. But I go through phases where I'm, have more anxiety or more depression. They're kind of like one or the other. There's never like the good middle where neither one exists. And the anxiety is just generalized anxiety. A lot of it comes from, having the disease and always worrying, am I doing the right thing with my decisions that I'm making on how to spend my time and how to treat my disease, and a lot of it's just I think the physical ramifications of the disease. If I were to describe what it's like to have chronic fatigue and to a normal person and what it's like to live with it, I'd say it's kind of like, imagine that you woke up with a cold or flu every day, and you had to just do your life anyway. You just had to do it. You just had to do whatever you had to do with this cold or flu every day. You weren't expecting it to go away necessarily anytime soon, and you just had to keep on chugging. And imagine what it's like to be hungover, and you just are kind of tired, or you stayed up, you're hungover, you stayed up really late and only slept an hour or something. It's kind of like that every day. You're just not really performing at your best. You feel shitty, and you just have to do whatever you've got to do anyway. And then, like, imagine being being dumped by your boyfriend, and you're just depressed, and you feel bad inside, and you feel all these anxiety and depression and heaviness and bad feelings inside. So if you mix all those things together, the physical pain and emotional pain and just feeling like crap, that is what it's like to have chronic fatigue for me.